Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Lot. And Chuck is singing. He is singing when we go live. Gently down the stream.
We're not going to do that because we haven't practiced. We haven't rehearsed.
Sorry.
We're not going to sing because we haven't rehearsed and we have no costumes.
So yeah,
that's true.
And some of us singing voice like a cow dying alone in a.
Who's strangling the cat? As you can tell by our fantastic intro there, we're very on top of things as always today, and it's going to be a great show. And this all we're going to do is sit here.
Yeah, it is.
I'm drinking decaf because I got to take a nap after this.
I am Josh Hayes here with Chuck Manley and Scott Reasonably Awake Moon. He takes a sip. Oh, that was perfect timing. Let's see. Welcome to the show, everybody. If you're tuning in live, welcome. If you're listening on the audio stream, we stream live on Mondays, but nobody knows when. On Thursdays at 8 p.m. Central and Tuesday mornings, generally with Coffee and Concepts with Walt Robillard. Let's see. Who's in the live chat today? Unity 151 Sci-Fi Booktube was the first comment of the day. Welcome. Thank you. Rick's here. Let's see who else is here. Bard of today. Corvo's here. What's up, Corvo?
Nice.
If you're not watching live and you didn't know we were live, come and hang out with us. The live chat is where it's at. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, do it now.
Do it now. Do it now.
You should. I think we need to work on our golf clap of the day for the first person. I think we should, do it like a little more forcefully or something.
Let's do like the golf clap where it's like some people do it in sync, but ours is like not. So mine is like really awkward. Like Chuck is like really fast. Like it's all completely different.
And can you do like sound? I mean, you do the music for the intro. Can you do like sound?
We could do a laugh reel.
I don't know if I can do a laugh reel.
No, laugh reel would be
like a fireworks display kind of thing.
It would be wrong.
Yeah.
We should not do a laugh reel.
Like a whole bunch of people stand up and clap and cheer.
Yeah, something like that. Or splice in like a movie clip or something for that person.
Yep.
When I was in grade school, we got in trouble for clapping because we had like an assembly and everybody somehow synced, right? And so like it was like we're clapping for the person, but then it came into like a shunk, 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 shunk. Everybody was clapping at the same time, and our teachers and our principals were furious. And we had this huge talking to afterwards.
That would be unnerving, though. Think about it.
They're like, "What do you people do?" Organizing. It just happened, but it probably was a little bit disturbing. It's like I'm going to get mobbed by a bunch of 8-year-olds.
Well. I tell you what, I'm going to go first with my cool things this week because I got some pretty cool stuff this week. And I'm going to go in no particular order.
Do it up.
So number one, I got the hardbacks for Edge of Valor.
Woohoo!
Nice.
Which were freaking phenomenal. And really good quality. Thanks, Steve, my publisher at Athon. Very, very nice looking interiors. Really good quality. So that's cool. These will be signed. Whatever. Number two, Rick Barlow's in the chat. Rick sent me 2 books.
Nice.
The Devil Sour and the
Devil Engine. There you go. Those look good.
And these are by Mark Sumner. And we mentioned doing some Weird West stuff. And apparently these are either just Westerns or Weird Westerns. I haven't read them yet. But they're
those titles. I kind of got the Weird West vibe off of them.
Yeah. So they're just, I like the snazzy kind of mashup covers. I don't know if you could see, but it's like pretty cool.
Mashup-rama.
So thanks, Rick.
Mashup of Valor.
Mashup of Valor. And then one of the coolest things I got in the mail today. This is super duper cool. Drywall holes of Valor. Do I have holes in my?
Well, no. If you go back, you have to go back in the live chat because when we were talking about clapping, they said instead of clapping, we should do like a triumphant drywall punching or something. Which
interestingly enough, I do have holes in my drywall, but you can't see them because they're out of frame.
You probably were freaking out, thinking, "Well, he's been in my house."
That's right. This is the wrong one. So I got these in the mail too. So I mentioned I was on Bane's podcast last week, the Bane Road Show. for my story Lunar Fury that came out in the Battle Luna anthology by Bane Books. And 500 lucky people, I don't know how they're going to do it, are going to get these signature cards that are going to be in the hardback. It can be like a special edition or a limited edition. I see
nice.
right there. And they're going to have all 5 of our signatures. So as it goes right here, the top is Tim Zahn, and then Mike Williamson, and then Casey Zell, and I'll be down here, and then Travis will be up here. I'm sending them to Travis last. So these are really cool. There's only going to be 500 of them, and I've got a whole box. I don't know what I'm going to do when I sign these. I might do like a live stream. Ooh, like Sanderson does a live stream. When I sign these,
we're probably going to have carpal tunnel surgery.
Yeah. I'm going to sign all these, and it's going to be pretty sweet.
Just sign them like once a day or something like that. That's what I would do.
Yeah,
I'll
definitely do that.
Like a workout.
No, do them all at once, because then those last signatures will just be hilarious.
Yeah.
Like
just lines.
Books will smell like booze and tears.
In the back with coffee stains on them.
Yeah, what is all this nonsense? The pieces of granola just sprinkled around.
Part of your kid's breakfast, maybe some water from the lake.
Tears.
I was very sad we didn't go to the lake this weekend. Let's see, what else did I started work on a brand new chapter in Tranquility, and I finished a chapter in Tranquility today this last week. And I think we're at like 47,000 words or something on the draft. So flowing right along.
It's the collaboration of valor.
The collaboration of valor, the booze smell of valor, as I like to call it. Mm-hmm. Not a whole lot. Just chasing kids a lot this weekend. We did some yard work. What else did I do? Anything fun? I don't think so. What about you guys? What about you, Chuck? What'd you do?
Oh, this week. Actually, this week was a little more productive than the previous weeks because my daughter had a break from softball. They won their last tournament, so the coach just only had to do one day of practice last week. So my schedule wasn't quite as full. So I did get a little bit more writing done. Still plugging away on the second half of Jack Dark Book 2. I finished the outline pre-work notes for Jack Dark Book 3, which, unbeknownst to me, when I started planning this thing, is actually going to kind of veer into kind of a post-apocalyptical magic world kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
for a period,
very cool.
Which was not my original intent, but now that I'm half a trilogy into it, it just makes perfect fucking sense. So that's
my favorite
happen.
writing moments always start with unbeknownst to me.
Absolutely.
Like I love.
That's the reason I love this so much, is because it's the stuff that I think I know what I'm going to do, but then reality stands up and says, "Bitch, please." And but so I got all that done.
Your muse is kind of pushy.
My muse will cut off my man parts and hunt ostriches.
Sent a directive from the muse.
Yes, my muse no, she comes armed. But I got that done, and I'm kind of still got all my other little projects that I spend a little time with when I get stuck, and started working on a little D&D thing for some friends that I might do later. But just all the creative stuff. That's really what I've been up to.
Creative stuff is tight.
Whoopsie. Hi, Lauren. Lauren's in the chat.
Hi, Lauren.
Corvo says post-apocalyptic fantasy settings are always interesting, and also he pins that with bitches of valor.
Muse will cut off my man parts of valor.
Yeah, there you go. My muse comes arms of valor. Yeah, the live chat's rowdy. Live chat's rowdy today. People who are hearing this for the first time should definitely come next week and get in the live chat.
Yeah, I like that
stuff. Yeah. So
what about you, Scott?
I'm the Night Walker of Valor. So it's starting my third week.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, no, actually, not bad. So there are parts I really like about it. I think this week I've finally fell into a schedule that's going to work for actually getting some writing done. On my days off, the first couple of weeks, I was mostly doing edits. Well, because we launched Resistance Day, which is the second book in my They Came for Blood Alien Invasion saga, as it were.
Yes.
And picked up a super secret collaborator who might write in the series or parallel series, which I'm very excited about. We'll talk about that more as if we decide to really commit to it. I'm down with it. Make sure I'm not asking too much of people and their writing, because you guys know now that a lot of times we have people that we write with and they have lots of other opportunities and deadlines, and I don't want to make somebody commit to a deadline and stress them out. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But so that's cool. The series is, I'm learning a lot about launching them. It's actually going fairly well today. I was a little bit stunned at how much work it took to launch the second book, but that's good. So working on the third book, that's coming along well. Finishing up Expeditionaries War, which is the third book in a Aethon series we're going to launch. I think we're launching the first one, Brothers in Arms, First Strike, in September. That really depends on their marketing production schedule and all that. I know I've sent in like the 15th edit on that book. That book has a history. It's been through lots. I've rewritten it several times, been edited several times. I think it's really good. At one point I thought it was probably the best thing I ever wrote, and now I don't know. I hope it's good. I hope I didn't overwrite it, but we'll see how that goes. I'm really excited about that. And that's about it. Writing, sleeping, hoping to learn how to market books and stuff, but really that's just kind of like, it's quasi-random for me. I'm sure there's people who can do it on purpose, but I rely on luck. It's like a D&D game. Roll a die 20 for launch. roll a saving throw versus failed book launch. That's me.
And you roll a 5.
Yeah, that's a natural 1. Oh my God.
It's a natural 1. What's up, Walt? Welcome. Holy late show. Late? Oh, yeah, we are late, huh?
Yeah, we are late.
Yeah, that's right.
A little late, a little early. It really depends.
First of all, keystroke medium hosts are never late. We broadcast precisely when we mean to.
Exactly.
I really want to talk about my little collaboration project, but I'll have to get with him. Well, I'm going to get with him and see if he's down with that yet or not. But we'll see what happens. But anyway, so not that I'm copying Josh. Josh does a collab, I do a collab.
That's right. It's a.
I still secretly believe y'all are just one person, and one of you's like a deep fake.
We need to get Chuck to collab on something. That's what we need to do.
Dude, nobody, trust me, no one wants to work with me. I know myself well enough.
I'm a bald Josh Hayes bot.
That's right.
Until I see you physically in the same room, one of you is a deep fake, and I don't know which one.
It could be. Even in the technology these days, still could be.
That's the way we like to keep people guessing. Like we show up at events and people are like, "Which one of you is the real one?"
Run out of the room and like change your shirt, but like come back all wrong.
Yeah. Well, like Scott's fault, he would actually he would be easier to pass off as an android.
Well, interestingly enough, we're twins, so when Scott and I wear the same shirt, no one can tell us apart.
Can't even. Yep. Did you see my driver's license?
Oh, Lord, sweet. She said she'd work with me.
Yeah. See.
Well, she's a saint, though.
She is a saint. She is a saint. That's true. I tell you what was interesting about my author brain this week is I started reading. You guys ever read Sphere? The Michael Crichton book, Sphere?
No, I know it, and I've always meant to read it. Never have.
Oh, it's a great book. So I'm reading it again. I've probably read it 2 or 3 times. I've actually got the old wrinkled paperback around here somewhere. Oh, there it is right there.
You're a serial book rereader. I need to start rereading books.
I actually started, I told you I was going through that. I wanted some of my comfort from the 80s kind of thing. I started listening to the Simon Green Deathstalker series again.
Yeah.
So I picked this book up for $4, even though I'm reading it on ebook. And so I'm reading it, and I'm probably about 30% of the way through. And when I was about 25% of the way through, I decided.
This sounds really familiar. It's like
so I decided I wanted to watch the movie too, because I've seen the movie. It's been a while, and so I watched the movie on lunch the other day, and I was really I was looking for the differences in between the movie and the book and why they're in there, and it was interesting because some of the things we know about, so spoiler alert if you've never read Sphere. Sphere is about a alien ship that crash lands in the ocean 300 years ago, but it's not alien, it's American. And this ship is enormous. It's like a mile long, and it's got this fin that sticks up out of the water. That's how they find it, is the fin cuts a fiber optic cable. So anyway, they go down to the ship, and in the book, before they even make it into the ship, they know the ship is they know there's something wrong with it because the instructions on the panel to work the door are in English. But in the movie, you don't find that it's an American ship until they're like inside it, like looking through it. And it's very small differences. And I wonder why they make those distinctions. Like in the movie, in the book, the sphere is silver. In the book, in the movie, the sphere is gold. And like very weird differences between the two. And I'm like, why did you make those changes?
I have to ask our new screenwriter guess about that.
Yeah,
well, I mean,
probably a note they get during the screen adaptation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the color thing I get, because obviously film's a visual medium, and they want to make sure all the colors look right on the screen. I mean, that's, if the spacesuits or depth suits or whatever they're wearing are a certain color, they want everything to look a certain way. So I can get a color. That's pretty minor.
Yeah.
The only reason I can think of that they would delay the English thing or the discovery that it's an American ship thing is, since a book, you can pretty much make it as long as it needs to be, but a movie, right, they're working with a certain time frame, and maybe they just wanted to draw out that tension a little bit more.
The revelation can't be too early.
Structure better,
Well, you can definitely see a structure thing where in the movie, they're probably down at the spaceship in like the first 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And that's not a lot of lead up at all. And in the book, it's probably, I don't know, 50 pages till they get down there.
And that is a great illustration of the difference between why novels cannot, very, very rarely can be directly translated to film.
Yeah.
Right.
There are two such separate mediums. And like I said, you have a lot more room to play in a novel than you do.
Yeah. The worst book adaptations of movies ever are the ones that stay literally true to the book.
Yeah, they can
be. Because they can be just a slog, because it doesn't always translate exactly. I like Sam Jackson of Valor.
Jackson of Valor.
That's kind of a redundancy, isn't it?
It's true.
That's like Valor.
I want a Mace Windu lightsaber.
Or it should say MF after it. I'm trying to be nice.
Yeah. Sam Jackson motherfucker of Valor.
Motherfucking Valor.
It's interesting because you talk about structure and pacing, and so that's one of the things I was looking at in the Tranquility chapters that I was writing last week, and I write the way I write action books, and like specifically like the Terra Nova books or the Striker War books. I was very narrowed in on writing what mattered, and then writing chapters that are just punchy. Go. And I'm looking at the differences very much like a movie. That's how I write most of my action books. It's very much like a movie where it's cut and go. And so I'm reading this book, and then I watched the movie and kind of compared the two and saw the differences in the pacing, and was looking at the opening chapters of the Tranquility Project that I've written and finding ways to kind of expand it in a way that a movie couldn't do, but in a way that doesn't make the book boring. Because I get into a little bit of like I'm wool gathering when I'm writing, right? Like, is this conversation going on too long, or is this conversation too short? Like, I wrote a conversation at the end of a chapter that could have been 2 sentences, but then as I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, what can I put in this conversation to make it a little bit more fuller? So it's not just people reading a script and acting as like, what would these people actually be talking about? Because I could very realistically end the scene where I wanted to end it at, or where I originally ended at. But then I thought, could I add more in to show more character, or show more story, or anything like that? And so I went in and was actively going in and lengthening those conversations, but not in a way that gave it fluff to the book, but in a way that kind of made it more natural and
sure.
And because I like the idea of having more in a book than you have in a movie. And so when I was looking at my writing and I look at it and go, does this feel like a movie to me? Yes. Where can I expand on that a little bit?
Make it more book-like.
And make it more book-like.
One of the best things about a book is you can go into someone's head.
Exactly right. What I was going to say. The access to internal dialogue is so much greater with a novel than it is with a movie, you know. So you can go deeper and longer with it.
What's one of the
right? We should probably just end with that right there.
Deeper and longer. That's right.
I'm going to rename the show Deeper and Longer with Keystroke Medium.
Deeper and longer.
Deeper and longer of Valor.
I was going to suggest we call it So Random or something, because our time frame is like live random live deeper whatever. Let's just move on.
So
I'm sorry I brought it up.
In your guys' writing, do you ever, when you're editing or going through back and looking at other chapters, do you see stuff like that where you are looking at it going, do I need to make this different than a movie, or during
the first draft, writing the internal dialogue feels extremely natural to me, and I worry that it's like, for example, in Invasion Day, it's the story of a family, and so there's lots of times like they come to Mesa Verde. I don't know if anybody's ever been there, but it's a cave dwelling, Indian cave dwellers in southwestern Colorado, and it's really cool. And I went there when I was a kid, and so when they run into this place in the story, there's something they remember stuff about, like their sibling, you know, because like David, the oldest, he ran off and got lost and caused a big trauma, because that's kind of a part of his personality. He's always running off and causing trouble and all that. So when Laura sees that, she thinks of that memory. And so you have a lot of those types of things, and I because I don't want to do flashbacks and things like that, but I do want. But I think realistically, you would have some memories, and so that I always worry that they're slowing stuff down too much. But you can usually tighten those up or eliminate them, and sometimes they lead to interesting action complications. Yeah. I don't know.
The only time I run into the book versus movie thing, I think, is if I'm describing action scenes too much. Like if I am trying to put exactly what I see in my head onto the page, because that's not what you want to do. You want to give the reader enough information to form their own picture and fill in like the colors and the sounds and the blah and the blah and the blah. Yeah. And I ran into that a lot when I was writing my Paragons trilogy, because that's urban fantasy that rubs shoulders pretty closely with the superhero genre.
Yeah.
So there was like super heroic-y kind of fights, you know, not capes and cowls and that stuff, but people were picking up really heavy shit and throwing it and things like that. And because I was so into the MCU movies at the time, I would see it really vividly, and I would really overwrite some of those scenes to the point where the description slowed down the action feeling, you know, the momentum of the scene.
And then the descriptions,
so I had to go and cut a lot of that just mercilessly.
But also, I mean, and that is kind of related when you're doing the descriptions in an action scene or dialogue, because when you're trying to break it up and you're trying to identify characters without using lots of dialogue tags, sometimes I feel like I'm getting too non-movie or too narrative heavy when I'm trying to break up an action sequence without saying he said, he jumped, he ran, she ran. and stuff. And so sometimes you have to put a little bit in there, but it's very delicate balance.
Yeah,
I think.
you got to balance it out. And if you and I really too much description, especially during a heavy, when you want the reader to feel a lot of momentum in the scene. You got to be real careful. You don't put those big blocks of descriptive.
And so
and stuff.
You suggest I read Mr. Mercedes, which I'm reading now and really enjoying it. But Stephen King does that a lot. You'll be in a high-speed action scene,
yes.
and you'll be having flashbacks and giant internal monologues and side quests, and all in the same action scene.
I think he's reached a point where he just writes stream of consciousness, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Hey, holy shit! Ellen Campbell's here.
Oh shit! Everybody, look out! Don't get cut.
Watch your words.
Yeah.
Watch your words. No safe words here. We don't have safe words.
Hide your adjectives and your commas.
Muchly.
We're
One of the cool things
we're just talking about how appropriate it is to always describe how your characters breathe and sigh, and how they move. They should sit, because
he definitely crosses his arms a lot.
We didn't know that Ellen was going to be here.
Well, but at the same time though, like today, I actually I'm sorry, what did Scott Moon just say? I think there are if the way they smile is kind of relevant. Like I'm writing a scene right now. Actually,
if it matters, sure.
Yeah, if it matters, because I'm writing a scene where this guy, his dad is under the care of this physician. The physician is scared that the son is going to say something to upset the dad. So there's all these little looks going back and forth between the son and the doctor.
Right. A lot of subcontext.
And I think during times like that, you still want to do it sparingly, but that sort of thing can play into making the scene stronger, really.
I agree. Ellen doesn't, and she says, "Scott, you're off the Christmas card list again." I don't even know. Like, it's funny that he was off the list already, but then somehow he got back on, and now he's not.
Yeah, you have to claw your way back onto the list.
How do you get back on? Is it like a Jello fight of valor that you have to have to get back on the? Yeah. Interesting. Baird says no safe words of valor, which is true. It's interesting because when we're talking about going in and looking at your narrative and what you want to do with it, I try to keep my action scenes not ambiguous, but not like I holding the reader's hand. And it's funny because as I'm progressing and writing more and more books, I'm actually trying to get away from doing a lot more action scenes where there's fighting. Just because it gets so repetitive over and over and over again. I'm actually wanting to do a lot more tension in dialogue and tension in what's going on and not just the action, right? Is something going to happen? I want that tension instead of who's going to win the fight with how many punches are thrown.
You want suspense.
Yeah. If you look at
but I want to do that with dialogue.
Like if you look at Elmer Leonard. So Elmer Leonard, he wrote lots of stuff. The Justified was based on some of his stuff. I'm not sure how, but he wrote 310 to Yuma, Get Shorty. All of those things were his stuff, and his dialogue is awesome. And if you read his books, but his action sequences are a lot of dialogue, but dialogue can be very powerful and dramatic if done correctly, obviously. So
I've been doing a lot of internal dialogue, like thought.
That's
trying to I got the idea from Glockta in the First Law trilogy.
He does a lot,
and he does a lot of that, and it's a lot of interesting. What's the word that you're doing the opposite of what you're saying? Because he'll think something and then say he'll say the exact opposite.
He'll always smile and say, "Of course I'll do that," and then he's thinking, found sinking in the water, dead by the docks.
Exactly.
That's what he's thinking. Sure, I would love to take on this job, but then in his head he's thinking they're going to murder me and put me in the dock. I'm going to be floating by the docks.
Dean says it's called lying. Yeah, this is called lying. It is. It's lying. Yeah, but that's not what I was trying to.
Being an ingenuous jerk.
Yes. Yeah. I can't think of the word right now. It'll come to me.
You're not going for Oxymoron, are you? Where he's contradicting himself?
No.
A lot of times,
it's all my great ideas come to me in the shower.
We should do the show in the shower. Get some waterproof gear.
I think we should do it in the shower. Let's see.
Not one shower, 3 showers.
Subterfuge. That's
in different places.
That's pretty close. That's pretty close. Subterfuge. I need to get on thesaurus.com.
Yeah. That stuff out. Yeah, no, I like internal dialogue sometimes, and I also was reading and going through the Sean Coyne course. He has the what's it called? The story
grid.
Story grid. But he talks a lot about free and indirect style. I might be saying that wrong, but that's where you're in third person limited. But sometimes you kind of just have that internal thought, but you don't say he thought or she thought.
You just kind of start writing like the person's thinking.
Yeah, so you can write in third person, but every now and then using that internal dialogue, you can kind of pop into first person for a second, then pop back out. And lots of writers do it, and I think a lot of writers do it without knowing they're doing it. But people who do it well, it's really very satisfying way.
It's really more just a super deep character focused third person. You know, you're really zooming in on that one character and describing what's going through their heads and stuff, which is, to me, if you're doing that point of view kind of thing, that's the only benefit, in my opinion, to that. One of the big benefits, I guess, is that you can do that for each of the characters. Right. You know what I'm saying? You can character zoom in, whereas with first person, you can do all that kind of like deep, because you've got the character talking to himself.
Yep.
But with the third person thing, if you can do that with multiple characters, that's going to make those so much richer for the reader. So you've got a whole bunch of characters that they really give a shit about.
It's almost like you got another character that you can just kind of have right there. Because you don't have to set up a conversation or a situation where they can have thoughts, because most people don't just walk around thinking like, I work for the police department. They're not thinking that unless it's comes up in some sort of internal dialogue.
I've got soundtracks and music scores and applause machines, all kinds of shit going around when I'm walking through the world. So
it's like, what's that movie? I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. With everybody's got to have theme music, and they got the band walking behind them playing the music.
True.
All up here.
Let's take a break for our show sponsor, and our show sponsor this week is, drum roll please, Resistance Day. They Came for Blood Book 2 by Scotty Moon, or as I like to say, Scooty Moonay. And
I'll take it.
Just Resistance Day is the sequel to Invasion Day, and it's before Victory Day, which is kind of, I sense a trend in your titling.
Right. Book 4 is going to be Departure Day, so just spoiler alert.
Oh, so the secret. Let's see. I'm going to pronounce this incorrectly just for you, Scott. The Fosca?
That works.
All right.
Yeah, you nailed it in one.
Nice. The Fosca spent 1,000 years traveling to Earth. Violent, world-subjugating void travelers. They've terrorized and enslaved civilizations across the galaxy for countless eons. Humanity doesn't stand a chance. Or do they? A truck driver with a history of illegal street racing, a cop unwilling to back down from bullies and terrorists, and a game designer who's learning to put a theory into action seem an unlikely crew to save the world, but somebody's has to fight back. Check out part 2 of They Came for Blood and join the resistance of Doom. Dun, dun, dun. That's Resistance Day. They Came for Blood Book 2 on Amazon right now for $2.99. Click the link in the live chat and buy it right now, or else. I don't know what the or else would be, but it's very significant and world detrimental to your well-being as a person. So go do that right now. I did, Lawrence, as I crushed that blurb read, I really think I did very well. I read that very well.
You did.
Maybe I should do a second career as a blurb reader.
Yeah. I had a lot of a bit. Speaking of Ellen, I had a lot of help with writing that blurb. So
someone forgot to send their blurb to their editor.
That one went
What's up, Queen?
You know who?
How are you? Nothing. Just hanging out, living the dream. Let's see. Let me gotta close this window a lot. Bam. If you guys did know, the second or the last Audible book for the Valor series came out. That was pretty cool.
That's
did pretty cool for about a week, and that was fun. Okay. Oh, so I was talking about stories and adding stuff in to stories. I'm trying to get away from that. Like the story we're writing now is like 120,000 words. And so there's a lot of room to do things. But I'm trying to get away from writing like 65,000 word like short books, and I want to do longer ones. And so that is taking a lot of for instance, like I said earlier, where I could end the conversation in 2 sentences, but I can continue it on and add, 2 or 3 pages or a page of dialogue that's good dialogue that builds the character. It's taking a lot of work. Like, where I could just say, I'm going to end it here and for the day, be like, I'm done with that chapter and move on. I don't want to do that because I want to make sure that I'm doing right for what the characters need in the book.
You have a lot more opportunities to go a little bit deeper in some of those characters, and maybe even side plots. Depends. Side plots are dangerous.
Do you do all that? You do this in the first draft, or do you do that in rewrites?
Well, I'm drafting now. I'm editing. So the way we do it, we're gonna have him on the show sometime. But the way we do it is I write one of the POVs or most of that POV, and he writes a different POV. And then when he is done writing a chapter, I'll go in and kind of go through it, make edits, make corrections, do some cleanup a little bit, and then he'll do the same on mine. And then once we get all the way through the book, then we'll send it off to an editor. So a lot of mine is first draft, but I like to do first drafts, and before I put it in a manuscript, I'll go back and add in again after I'm done. And add in, like, can I move this sentence up here? And sometimes when I write, I'll have like a line of dialogue and then I'll break it up with a paragraph of whatever. And then maybe even 2 paragraphs of dialogue or whatever, and then add another dialogue in there. But then when I go back and read it again, that dialogue would do better above the 2 paragraphs. And so I move it around and kind of rearrange some stuff, so I do that while I'm drafting, and maybe I should wait until the end of the book, but
it works for you. I mean,
like right now that's working, and it's flowing along really well, and even the edits are going really well, where I'm reading through Devin's stuff and adding some stuff and taking away, and it's one of the most fun projects I've had so far, just collaboratively speaking, because it's not I write the whole thing and then he edits and I make corrections and all that. It's actually a partnership going back and forth, and that's very interesting, especially since we can do it almost in real time because we're doing it on Google Docs, and you can do track changes in Google Docs and leave comments and stuff, and it's very interesting. One of the cool things I found out from CC Akeke this week, we're in a little subgroup of authors, and he has been doing his beta reads in Google Docs where you can lock the document, where the people you give that document to, they can only read it and make comments. They can't change anything in the book, and they can't share it, and they can't like copy and paste it or anything like that. They can just make comments. And so what he does is he sends it out to like all these beta readers, and they can make comments, and he can see in real time how many people have a problem with this section over here and how many people have a problem with this section over there.
It's a very powerful method. I tried setting that up, and I set it up, and then I sent it out to people, and they said, no, I can still copy and paste everything. So that made me nervous. So I've kind of held off on that, but it is a great way to do it. I've done it before with other people, and they will find, it doesn't matter how many times you have it edited, your beta readers are going to find
Yeah.
things. And a lot of times it's not just like commas and things. They'll say like, didn't that character die in book 3? Because if they're fans, or like, I have a problem with hands, so I don't do people losing hands anymore, because in Dark Landing I kept losing the same hand. I had to go back and fix it. It was very annoying.
I have that same problem, because when I was writing, really in any of my series, I always end up having to just go ahead and open the previous books in PDF, doc, or whatever, just because I'll get to a point in the work in progress and I'll be like, crap, what did I name that guy? And I'll have to go back and find it.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, that was it. And then,
that's why I like Scrivener, because I actually will put all of my most current manuscripts in Scrivener, and then I split my panel, and I'll have the current project, and I'll have like book 1, and then I'll do a find search for whatever I have a question about. And it's very useful. And then you can just cut and paste and drag it over.
I did the same thing in Scrivener, except that I would, if I cut off someone's hand in Scrivener, I had a character sheet where I would go in, and in their character sheet, I would go, he lost his right hand in book 1, chapter, whatever it is.
That's because you're more organized. I do that, and then I forget, and then I make a second character sheet.
I try to do that, and then by the time I get done with the book, I forgot to do it like 18 times.
And then you're looking at your file going, I have 4 character sheets. Which one is the current one? I forget.
You know how I mentioned I decided to just put together a little, like a mini D&D campaign at the beginning of the show? I mentioned that.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I decided to do that is I came across this tool online called, what was it called? It was called World Anvil World Building Tools and RPG Campaign Map. Are you guys familiar with that?
I've seen it and I've wanted to try it out, but I've
been playing around with it, and I'm using it, just like I said, for a little mini campaign right now. But I was really looking at it, and it actually does tout itself as being for writers as well as gamers. And I was looking at it, and I'm thinking that I think it would be a really good spot to keep track of all the stuff y'all are talking about, because you can import photos and maps and just all kinds of stuff into it. I think that would be a really good organizational tool for writers in general.
Absolutely. I've looked at it, it's like everything else. Once you take the time to actually learn it, then it's super easy. Like, everybody's very scared of Scrivener, but once you actually learn how to do Scrivener, it's not that hard. But like, I look at World Anvil, and I've looked at it several times, and I'm like, man, if I could just dedicate a couple hours to.
Was there another one you were looking at, Josh, a week or 2 ago?
Well, it was a timeline deal. It was Aeon Timeline.
Yeah,
and that was super easy. I only messed with it for about half an hour and was able to create here, let me see if I can show what I created. Because it was Aeon Timeline. Yeah, where is it?
Unity 151 is talking about something called Campfire, which seems interesting as well.
Let's see. Aeon Timeline is AEON. It's actually Aeon Timeline 2. And here, I got it pulled up. Where is the thing? Screen share. Application window. Tranquility. Share. Okay. So, this is the program. And this is on a Mac. I'm not sure if it's on Windows too. But you can basically zoom out, and you can set up, so all these horizontal rows are all different basically people, but or plot threads, and then you can set up the events by a specific date, and it'll have the day, has the date, it has the month, it has the year. And so you can set that up this way to show when events happen for the different character things. And then, so you're not lost. Like mine, we had to figure out how long it took to get from Earth to this planet and then back, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And that was really integral to the plot. Yeah. And so I just went on and got this and just set up dates so that I knew when stuff happened. And that was really cool to see it visually. And then I didn't have to guess, and I didn't have to do like some spreadsheet and figure out blah, 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 blah. I could just figure out how much time it took me to get from Earth to Tranquility, and then set everything up accordingly. And then when I needed to have it in the story.
Maintain your pacing too.
Do what?
to help maintain your pacing.
Yeah, so you can use it. You can use it with characters. You can do characters. You can do to the hour. You can do the day. You can do it for character. You could do it for plot arcs. You could do it for places too. There's a whole bunch of different things you could do in this thing. I just spent like half an hour looking at it, and it was very interesting. Way to look at things. I haven't checked out Campfire yet. I'll have to look at that.
Campfire, World Anvil, Aeon Timeline, lots of good tools. We should do an episode on tools again.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I'm starting to feel the night shift right now. I may have to like swaying in my chair.
Night shifts, like when I could
good until you
do
don't.
to like 2 or 3, but once you get to staying up to like 7 in the morning at like that 4 or 5 o'clock time in the morning
sun
where
comes
it's
up.
so quiet, then I'm like, oh, I'm done.
Yeah.
I can't
And that's
do it
rough
anymore.
because by the time I get home, it's like right when it's the brightest out. So you're like, oh, it's dark. I'll go home and take a nap. And then you go home and it's like noon. Feels like.
Yep.
Although it's beautiful, you see all the sunrises. That's good. Pros and cons.
I'm still trying to work out how I can. I'm still trying to push myself to work at night. Like I've been doing it a little bit, but then I kind of like I get daisy or hazy, and it's hard for me to kind of concentrate. And so like I'm trying to make it work again because I need to up my productivity. My productivity's been in the crapper.
Might have to put
It's
myself on
always a battle.
school thing.
Do what? Oh, because school starts?
I told her, I said I may have to put myself on a night shift if the kids don't go back to school because with everybody home and it's just the interruptions are constant.
Yeah, that's the thing, and it doesn't have to be a big interruption. It's just enough to knock you loose. I think that's why a lot of writers are suffering that everywhere.
It's just
right. Well, they pushed school back here till like Labor Day, so 3 weeks later they pushed it back.
I don't think they've done that here yet, but it wouldn't surprise me.
They keep canceling all of our training at work because every time we have training, somebody gets has exposure. And the problem is we have an exposure in training. We have to quarantine like 20 or 30 people. Well, that makes it really hard to cover the streets when all of a sudden, and training is always from all the different bureaus of the city. So when you get one exposure, it affects the entire department immediately.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the butt.
Did you guys see that story today? It came out. Yahoo News did it, but it was some tanker ship was out, like they'd been out on the ocean, and everybody tested negative when they left, and then when they come back, they were positive for COVID, and they were just out in the middle of nowhere, like just out on a ship in the middle of nowhere, all got COVID. Yeah.
Interesting.
So
obviously it's part of an alien attack, and to be prepared for that alien attack, you should probably read Invasion Day and Resistance Day.
Well done. Beautiful.
That was probably the best sales pitch anybody's ever done.
That was shameless.
My problem is at nighttime is I get tired, and then I don't want to drink coffee because I don't want to be up till 4 a.m. because I still got to get up when the kids wake up. And so then I just kind of stare and look at the screen and I'm like, blah.
Yeah.
But I think that starting this week, I think that I'm going to split my time between Tranquility and working on Tranquility and the edits. I'm going to do like an hour, 2 hours of writing, and then do like an hour or so of edits. And then I'm going to find some legal pads and I'm going to start working on my fantasy book. And I think that will kind of help me jumpstart the juices, get all that stuff flowing so I can my product, man. I really need to work on, Scott, my productivity and keep staying accountable and doing the work and
don't do a pre-order deadline because that's like
no, I'm not doing that at all.
That's bad for you.
It's bad.
That's like holy water to a vampire or something.
Not good. Bad.
Look, Josh just melted. He must have that.
Yeah, I'm so far behind on this Jack Dark thing for Athon, and I'm actually a little ashamed of myself.
What's holding you up?
Well, last year was rough, and that's
well. Other than that, yeah.
Really, it's just been having everybody home, because every time I turn around, somebody, normally when I could sit down and work, and you know how it is, you sit down and you got to get into it.
Yeah.
You got to stay in there to really get the words going. And I don't know about you guys, but if I get into it and somebody knocks on my office door, I go from into it to murder like that.
Yeah.
And that's happened consistently. It just, it's really hard to stay focused. So,
it's really easy to go, oh shit, I need to make the kids lunch.
Right.
Oh,
and
I'm going to clean the dishes. I'm going to get ahead of all this stuff. Pretty soon I've done like 18 chores I wasn't planning to do, and I've lost track.
I'd write from this time to this time, and then I would get up and take care of whatever housework I had to do. And if I had to go pick kids up from school, or if it was my carpool day, whatever, I'd go do that. But I can't. There's no schedule now. And then with, she, like I said, the daughter's got softball and stuff. I got to think about all that. And then my mom got hurt, and but I'm still doing better than I did last year. So that's good.
It's all about doing what you can. That's the thing is, if we could just like perfectly hit our production deadlines all the time, we'd literally be machines. And I would be Android Josh.
Did I tell you who's the machine, man? Devin pumped out like 10,000 words the other day, and I was impressed.
Well, he's British.
He's British.
Yeah. Devin, Nathan, and Rick are just some.
He sent me a message the other day, and he was like, "I did 10,000. I'm out." No. He's like, "I did 8,000. I'm out." Like, holy crap, that's crazy. Well, then like an hour later, he's like, "Okay, I did 10,000, but now I'm really out. This time I'm really out." I'm like, "Oh my god, I can't. Like, I'd go crazy. My fingers would go numb."
And I don't know if he showed, but like in our message chat, starting back when we first started chatting with him, he'd be like, "I'm writing," and he would literally have a baby, and he'd be like, typing, on this laptop.
Nothing but respect for that, man. Holy crap.
Oh yeah. I think the other day I got really close to 3,000 words, and I was super impressed by that. I was fucking excited, man. Like I was sitting there like just slamming the keys, and I got done with it, and I was like breathing hard. Like that was amazing. And then like for 2 days straight, I had kids running around causing a ruckus, and I couldn't do it.
A really good day for me is if I can approach 2,000 words.
Yeah.
My goal every day these days is 1,000. Between in the
1,000 consistently, it gets it done.
It's just, and there are days I hit it and then some, and days that I fall just. I think the worst day I've had. Well, I mean, there have been days I just couldn't write because I wasn't home, but the worst actual day I had, just based strictly on interruptions, I think I only got about 450 words done.
Yeah.
The best day I've had since the whole thing started was, I think it was like 2,100 words, 2,200 words.
If you look at for people who are in the keystroke medium word count challenge, if you look at that, not everybody updates it. I'm not throwing out any names because I know some people have written more than they have put in the spreadsheet. But if you look at mine, there's a whole section of it where I've dropped down to like, and I will, if I write 25 words, I will put it on the spreadsheet. I wrote 25 words today. Woohoo! But
that's good, man. You keep it real,
Yeah, and, it's just something to do. It's a habit, but a lot of that, almost always, when you look at the spreadsheet, you can see where I've been doing edits, and there's a book launch. You can always see when I have a book launch because I'll have like 200 words a day because it has to take priority, or else Amazon's going to boot you because you missed your pre-order or whatever. And that's usually because I'm doing edits. And then this month, or over the last, not calendar month, over the last like 30 or 40 days, I've had to edit like 5 different projects at once. Like I got edits back on an Athon project. I got edits back on my own personal project. I can't remember what else I had to do, but I was having to edit multiple. I edited the first book over and the second book of Invasion, and was writing the third book and got edits back on the first book. I was like constantly doing edits where you go through the track changes. And that is not only time consuming, but it's very draining, especially, a lot of times you're like, oh, easy. And then they bring up something and you have to like read like 5 chapters to figure out, does it say, didn't this happen? Or shouldn't they do this instead? And so you got to go back and find that in the story when you've just been correcting commas all day. you're not really reading through it. At least I don't. And then I'll go back and do it. And I also started after Invasion Day was kind of a rush job for several reasons at the end. And I had it completely edited. I did a pre-order, wrote the best I could. And then as soon as the regular book dropped, I put in the actual fixed multiple editor.
Oh yeah, I remember you doing that. Yeah.
Well, I got lots of people saying it had a lot of typos because they were reading basically the beta draft.
Yeah.
And so on this one, I went back to a process which is very time consuming, where I do the entire book from the start, listening and reading at the same time. And I do that constantly as I go through it, but I did the whole book for both of the books. And that to make a long story a little bit shorter, that's where a lot of my word count went to crap. If you look at the spreadsheet, is I was literally just staring at the screen, adding like one word.
Yeah, but you were putting in the work, though. I mean, you might not be getting the words, but you were putting in work for the book.
I started logging time, so I log time and word counts because you guys all know me and how manic I can be. If I start going down the rabbit hole of self-flagellation, then it gets pretty miserable to be around me. But if I track time, then I can say, yes, my word count sucked, but I did 3 hours yesterday. And so that's respect. So you can say I showed up for work, even if I didn't.
There's value in that, for real.
Yeah.
And I think it's I think it can be. Who is it? Was Mark Allen Idlehite, Josh, you talked to, and he said he didn't track words, he tracks time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you put in the time every day, that's good enough, and that's not actually a bad way.
Yeah, and actually, I think Baldacci that does that as well. I mean,
he quality time and it's not surfing the internet.
Right. Even if it's research or something like that, he counts that as writing time.
Yeah.
Well, next week on the show, we're going to have a slew of people on. It's only going to be me hosting, and we're going to have, if I remember correctly, I think this is going to be a regular 10 a.m. show. Let me see if I can find the.
Kicking us out.
Yeah. Done with you guys. Done.
I can't take your guys' blathering.
It's going to be on a series of novels called the Caneverse that are based on Charles E. Gannon's universe for Kane. I can't remember, Raising Kane or something. It's a science fiction series. But these authors, Casey Azell, Kevin Eikenberry, Mike Massa, they've all done
bunch of great authors there.
They've all done novels in this universe, and so they are going to come on the show. Tony Weiskopf from the Baen Books is going to be on the show, and we're all going to be talking about that series and their different takes on the universe. So Casey Azell, Chris Kennedy, Chuck Gannon, me, Mike Massa, and Tony Weiskopf will all be on the show next Monday, talking about that project, which I believe is live. It's either live or it's up for pre-order. Nope, some of them are live. Yep, some of them are published. Actually, it looks like all of them are published now. So we're going to have them on the show next week to talk about that. And I don't know what Lauren has going on this week. She always has something interesting going on Thursdays. But anyway, so we're going to be back next Monday. It'll be 10 a.m. U.S. Central Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Time.
I have to look it up every single time.
I can't ever remember if it goes up and down.
10 Central, it's going to be 11 Eastern. Yes, yeah. 11 Eastern, and then 8 Mountain.
Welcome to Keystroke Medium, where we confidently discuss time zones.
Apparently, Unity thinks that your co-hosts are getting upgraded next.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm not sure how to take that.
But definitely,
he's probably scouting them, trying them out.
That's right. Who could we get on the show? Oh, Lauren says that Walt is going to be on the show Thursday talking about military sci-fi tips.
That's a do not miss. Seriously, that'll be a good one.
I always like to say his Robillard, even though if I don't know that I'm pronouncing his name remotely close to accurately, but I'm just going to say it like that.
My voice dictation thing, when I read it back, it says Robbie Yard.
Robbie. Oh, I wonder if that's it.
So I don't know.
Robbie Yard.
It also mispronounces lots of other things.
I just like to say Robillard, just because.
Yeah, that's tight.
So thanks for everybody that watched us live. We will be back next Monday with Tony and Charles and Casey and Chris and Mike, and that'll be a good show. You don't want to miss it. Lauren will be on this Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central with Walt Robillard, and you don't want to miss that show either. If you're listening on the live feed, thank you guys for listening, and come and check us out live on Facebook and hang out and YouTube and hang out in the live chat. It's usually a good time, mostly.
What about Greenland time? Because I was talking to Scott.
Greenland time.
It's a different time.
A half an hour time, like it's like a half.
Yeah, it's like crazy.
Like it's 7:30.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. 7:30. You said it. See,
I said it. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with us. It was a good show, and we will be back next week talking about reading, writing, and everything in between right here on Keystroke Medium. You guys have a good Monday.
Laters.
That's so creepy that we both did the peace sign at the same time.